Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Russia launched another massive missile and drone attack on Ukraine last night, 29th to 30th of October 2025. I will show you what they struck, and this combined attack, it was an, as the Ukrainians claim to be, was a complex combined strike. The Russians launched more than 700 air assets, more than 700. Then another topic, the Russians liberate or take control of two more settlements, one in Zaporozhye and in Kharkov regions. The Germans and the Poles are fed up with the Ukrainians. They want them out. Why? Because more than 100,000 or about 100,000 young men flee Ukraine in just 2 months. So these are the topics of today's video. Let's start with the Russian strike on Ukraine energy infrastructure. According to Sputnik, 2 hours ago, today on the 30th of October 2025, Russian forces hit Ukrainian military industrial sites in overnight long-range strike. So I'm quoting, in response to Ukraine's terrorist attacks on civilian targets inside Russia, a large-scale strike was launched last night using long-range precision weapons from air, sea and land platforms, as well as strike drones against enterprises of Ukraine's military industrial complex, energy infrastructure supporting their operations and military airfields. All designated targets were hit and the intended objectives were successfully destroyed, the ministry added. So, the Russians claim that they destroyed only military infrastructure, and we're going to find an energy infrastructure as well. Let's start with the next one coming from the Ukrainians, going to give us more details. The Russians usually are just vague in saying we struck these facilities, that, blah, 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 blah. The Ukrainians are a little bit more concise. New Voice of Ukraine, October 30th, 2025. Russia launches 705 drone and missile strike on Ukraine. So 705 missiles and drones. Air defense is down 623. Russian forces launched a massive overnight strike against Ukraine's critical infrastructure, firing a mix of 705 drones and missiles from air, land and sea. This is what they used. They detected 52 missiles. So the Russians used 52 missiles, the rest were right there drones. 653 attack drones, 4 Kh-47 M2 Kinzhal air ballistic missiles. These are the hypersonic ones. 5 Iskander M/KN-23 ballistic missiles. These are the ones that the Ukrainians can't really down with their Patriot systems. 8 Caliber cruise missiles, 2 Iskander K cruise missiles, 30 Kh-101 cruise missiles, 2 Kh-59 guided air-launched missiles, 1 guided missile, 5 92 drones, 7 Caliber cruise missiles, 1 Iskander K missile, 21 Kh missiles, 2 Kh bababab. This is what these guys supposedly launched. Let's see what these guys did. The attack targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure, triggering explosions across multiple western, that's Poland, regions. In Ivano-Frankivsk Oblast, an energy facility was hit, while in Vinnytsia, 5 people, So, we have thermal power plant as well. So we have Ivano-Frankivsk and Vinnytsia. Those are located right here, Vinnytsia and Ivano-Frankivsk right here. This is the map of Ukraine with this is Poland right here. So these two, they're talking about these two areas. All right, what else? In Lviv, again, they struck that in Zaporozhye. Then they did Kiev Oblast. So let's go back. We got Lviv right here, Kiev here, Oblast, whatever it is, and Zaporozhye right in this area, the line of contact. Let's see what else. Usually they tell us what they hit, but don't worry. a complex combined strike. Russia launches over 650 drones, more than 50 missiles at Ukraine. Let's see if these guys tell us what they... Okay, they tell us about these kind of things because it's for the Americans. All right, it doesn't say more. We're gonna go... Not there. What the hell are they doing here? Right here. Again, we're gonna go to Ukrainska Pravda. I'm trying to find out what these guys claim they struck. So details is Vinnytsia, Kiev, Mykolaiv, Cherkasy, Poltava, Dnipropetrovsk, Chernihiv, Sumy, Ivano-Frankivsk, and Lviv or Lvov Oblast. So we got what? Mykolaiv, Cherkasy, Poltava, Dnipropetrovsk, Chernihiv, Sumy. So we get here. We have Poltava, Cherkasy, Chernihiv, Sumy. Then you got Mykolaiv right here. Vinnytsia, we already spoke about that one. Ivano-Frankivsk and Kiev. Let's see what's next. They don't tell us what exactly they struck. Next is Ukrinform. Ukraine air defenses down 623 drones and missiles out of 705. Let's see if they... So strikes, 63 strike drones recorded at 20 locations. 52 missiles, 9 of them ballistic. All right, let's see what they use them. We already went over this, but they don't tell us. Okay, this is what they tell us they destroyed. They claim, the Ukrainians, they destroyed 592 strike drones, Shahed and Gerbera, 7 Caliber cruise missile, 1 Iskander K, 21 KH-101, 2 KH guided air launch missile. So you don't see here the Kinzhals, and you don't see here the Iskander M. Okay. Next, Ukrinform. Russia launches massive attack on energy facilities in 4 regions. Russia carried out a massive overnight and morning attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure and used missiles and drones. Targets included facilities in Ivano-Frankivsk, Khmelnytsky, we didn't have that one, Kiev and Zaporozhye. Khmelnytsky usually is the airfield right here in Khmelnytsky. And is this airfield right here where they strike. In here, this is a military airfield where the F-16s are taking off, according to my information. And let me show you another area where we have, I can show you the airfield, which usually is not Khmelnytsky. You can really see Khmelnytsky, where is that? All right, is this right here? This is the airfield they struck. But you see, oh my God, we don't see what's on them on the... All right, so this is the airfield. I don't see any planes because, oh my God, they prevented us with this beautiful thing. All right, next. Russia attacks thermal power plants, plural, in several Ukrainian oblasts. Russia attacked thermal power plants belonging to DTEK, the largest private energy company in Ukraine, in several Ukrainian oblasts on the night of 29 to 30 of October. All right, the equipment at the power plants has been seriously damaged. We are working to deal with the aftermath. Next, let's see what the Russians are saying about the liberation of other, or taking control over, 2 new settlements, one in Zaporozhye and then in Kharkiv or Kharkov Oblast. And the settlements are Krasnogorskoye, and the other one, this is in Zaporozhye region, and the other one in Kharkiv is Sadovoye. Where are they located? This is, again, go to this clear map, though. So this is in Kharkiv, Kharkov, and then the other one is Zaporozhye. They attack here, or at least they advanced here in Kharkiv, Kharkov, and in Zaporozhye Oblast. All right, let's see how the Germans and the Poles are fed up with the Ukrainian immigration or refugees. Russia Today. Germany and Poland want Ukrainians out. Politico. EU countries have reportedly seen an influx of young men since Kiev relaxed travel restrictions in August. Politicians in Germany and Poland are threatening to slash benefits for Ukrainian migrants to prompt them to return home, Politico has reported. Since the escalation of the Ukraine conflict, millions of Ukrainians have fled to the European Union, the primary destination Deutschland. Germany has taken more than 1.2 million Ukrainians. some of these will advance on the social ladder and they will become politicians or millionaires, billionaires. And then they will use the Germans to strike Russia again. You'll see, like in Canada, like in the US, you're going to find the same guys. And I'm not talking about Ukrainians, people coming from Ukraine. And I'm quoting, "We have no interest in young Ukrainian men spending their time in Germany instead of defending their country, blah, 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 blah." Jürgen Hart, a senior lawmaker from German Chancellor Friedrich Merz's Christian Democratic Union. That's not really Christian to close the door on a stranger. Partly arcade, saying the conservative MP criticized this decision by the Ukrainian government, which in late August allowed men aged between 18 and 22 to freely leave the country. Well, you can criticize Ukraine's decision, but you can make a decision in your country, own country, and don't allow them to enter. How about that one? You know, I can control only what I do. Sometimes you can control what other people do because, like Trump, you tell him he's an imbecile and he's going to react because of his big head. You know, therefore you control his behavior. Or you praise Trump and then you get what you want because he thinks he's a genius. Therefore you're going to control his behavior by, you know, flattering him or by insulting him quickly. But in this case, the Ukrainians have their own agenda, the Ukrainians have their own laws, so do you. So you should do something about it. Don't cry about those guys. Don't allow them to come. Pass a law and say no Ukrainians for the next 2 years. 0. Can you do that? I think you can. So nevertheless, a ban on that because they bring, I don't know, crime, if you want to say, or maybe possible terrorists, or weapons, smuggling weapons and so on. They can find whatever reason they want. Or simply they say national interest. Bye-bye, do svidania, arrivederci, adieu. Okay, koniec filma. Next one. Poland's right-wing Confederation Party took an even harsher line, claiming Warsaw, and I'm quoting, cannot continue to be a refuge for thousands of men who should be defending their own country while burdening Polish taxpayers with the cost of their desertion. As I said, very easy. And here this guy says we must control and significantly reduce the rapidly increasing influx of young men from Ukraine. Oh, you like only the women? The EU and Berlin must exert pressure on Ukraine to change the relaxed travel regulations. It's not like that. That's a lie. Let me tell you this. It's a lie. That's not a lie. It's a half-truth. When I used to live in the country of Romania in the socialist times with the Communist Party in power, we couldn't travel to Germany. We couldn't travel to Western countries. Not necessarily because our government oppose that. Those countries are also opposing that. I have to remind you that after the revolution in Romania in 1989 in December, the Romanians opened their borders. And the West says, yes, let the Romanians. And some bad dudes from Romania infested the Western Europe, Germany and France and other countries in the West. And you know what those countries did? They banned Romanians. They closed their borders to Romanians. No Romanians. It was very hard to get into those countries. Easily. It was just an order. You couldn't get a visa anymore. Or to get a visa, it was very, very hard. So you can say, I let my people go. You have to accept them. Let's say Cuba. Remember Cuba when Fidel Castro released those, whatever he said, dissidents and opened the prisons and let them go? They went to the United States of America. How did they go? With the boats. Those boats could have been, sorry to say it, sank before they reached the American soil. So these guys can touch the soil and say, I claim political asylum. But they didn't. Why? An order. So everything could be stopped from me. Nobody can come here. Oh my God, he leaves his baboon kids to come to my house. If I have a locked door, the kids, baboons from the neighbor will scratch at the doors. That's all they can do. So these, fake crocodile tears do not even wet my cock. Let's move to the next one. In the last article, nearly 100,000 young men flee Ukraine in just 2 months. Why? Well, there are a few reasons. One, and let's start with this one. People are afraid. People are scared. They don't want to go and die. So people are afraid of war. who's not afraid of war. Maybe a person who has a reckless person, you should be afraid of war. It's a, injury, death, destruction. So people don't want to die. Secondly, they don't want to die for what? Maybe they don't want to die for Zelenskyy in particular. They don't want to die maybe for the Western interests that use Zelenskyy to have him go and die. Maybe some of them don't want to die for Ukraine, like the Bazaar people, very loyal. They just flee. Or maybe some people simply look for another opportunity in life, economic opportunity, or not, maybe not only economic. And they say, this is my chance, I'm going to leave. And then maybe I'm going to come back when I'm going to come on a Russian tank and clear Kiev. Many reasons, but remember, you can't just say, well, they left. You allow them to leave? Go ahead. The other guys can lock the door if they want, but they don't. So Crimea River. So let's see what happened here. The influx of Ukrainians crossing into Poland came after Kiev eased conscription laws. But the Poland can't lock the door. Let me show you where the thing is. From this with love. So here it is. This is Ukraine. This is Poland. They talk about this little border right here between Poland and Ukraine. Right here. If you block this, they're not going to get in. I guarantee you that the Russians cannot cross that border. I guarantee you that. Why? For various reasons, okay? Or this right here, if you want, in Kaliningrad. These guys can block whomever they want. Like, for instance, these beautiful Poles and Lithuanians block the crossing of Belarusians here. They close the border. That's it. Anybody crying? No. So, they're fed up. Now, after 3 years and a half, why only now? Well, if it needs 3 years and a half for a crime to continue every day, that's bad. The same with COVID. Remember what COVID? How long did it take to these guys to really organize and fight back? Even though they didn't win, they allow us to go back to our lives. We didn't win that. We didn't win the right, our right, creator-given right to live our lives. They decided to let us. Who's they? Other people. So you're free? You're not free whatsoever. And then they will do it again. The COVID was a drill for what's to come. And you're going to see what's to come is going to be even worse. Why? He just went this penetration. The next one is going to be this penetration, and you're fully filled. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.